This is Hemant.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast to support this show and get your ad-free and bonus episodes. We appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Almost every week, every now and then, people will send random links. Hey, you should talk about this, whatever. I don't think we've ever gotten as many emails this week as I did for one particular story, and all of them said the same thing. One, hope you talk about it, but two, I just need to hear Jess's reaction to the entire thing.
Ryan Walters porn thing?
Of course, it's about Ryan Walters. Okay. So happy to talk about it.
How lucky we are to be alive right now. It's brought me so much joy. And again, I am trying to be as offline as I can. And this still, I check our email, and that's how I knew what happened. And his 3-paragraph tweet.
We'll talk about everything.
About, it's... Oh, God.
Okay.
Let's dig in.
Back up for a second.
What a dumb.
Just to remind everybody.
How difficult is it to not watch porn when you're at work? I've done it for almost 40 years without incident.
There you go. Oklahoma Superintendent of Public Instruction. There you go. That's Ryan Walters. Again, just to lay the groundwork here, he's a Christian nationalist who just wants to shove Jesus into classrooms. That's kind of his whole reason for being. He will purchase Trump Bibles for public schools. He will rewrite social studies standards.
Or leatherette.
Oh, yeah. So he'll rewrite social studies standards to indoctrinate kids with revisionist pro-Christian mythology. He will use public money to fund a religious charter school. And the reason and all of those things are legit reasons to be very upset with Ryan Walters.
But now we also have a fun reason to be upset with Ryan Walters.
It is wild to me that none of that has had an impact like this week's story, which is that last Thursday, they had a meeting of the Oklahoma State Board of Education. And this is relevant in a second. That Board of Education has 3 members now who were appointed not by Ryan Walters, but by Governor Kevin Stitt, who basically was like, Ryan Walters, what the hell are you doing to our education system? We were ranked an excellent number 49, and you're taking us down.
Goddamn proud of it.
Yeah.
And Stitt is, to be clear, also a Republican, but just
Kevin Stitt is another MAGA
1998 Republican more than a MAGA Republican, or is he still pretty MAGA?
No, he's extremely MAGA, but also the MAGA people all hate each other for the same, different reasons.
That's fair.
So Kevin Stitt is by no means not a Trump-loving MAGA dude, but also Ryan Walters is deeply unlikable.
So unlikable, and so I don't know why. I just love that he obviously was gunning for that Secretary of Education position and just simply didn't get it, and oh boy, but he's spiraling hard.
Kevin Stitt appointed 3 of those members. You may recall earlier this year when Ryan Walters is like, hey, you know that the social studies standards that I put out to the public in December, like I'm supposed to, and everyone hated it.
I changed them.
I need you all to vote on that set of standards now, Board of Education. And Kevin Stitt's like, I'm going to try to get in the way, so I'm going to appoint these 3 members. And Ryan Walters didn't tell those people that he revised it to make it worse, and they all voted it in. That's the Board of Education as it stands. I think there's been 1 change in the mix.
Oh, good.
But in any case, there's 2 names you should know. One is Becky Carson. The other is Ryan Deathridge. Both of these are Stitt appointees to the State Board of Education.
Ryan Deathridge?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so they have their State Board of Education meeting. It is live streamed. As far as I'm concerned, it's uneventful for the stuff we talk about. And then at one point, they're like, we have to talk about some things that are not for the public to listen to. For example, I'm making this up, but in theory, maybe some parent has a problem with her kid getting suspended by the district and expelled, and you want the State Board of Education to step in. Well, you don't want that kid's information floating out there. So they go into executive session. This is not live streamed. And if you're watching the live stream, what happens is they say, all right, we got to go to a executive session. Let's head to Ryan Walters' office. We will continue the discussion there for the private stuff. And then we'll come back out here, continue the rest. And by the way, the media is out there. The cameras are out there doing the filming of the Board of Education meeting. So they go into executive session. And according to news reports, and this is, I think, first reported by the website Non-Docs, which is excellent at reporting on what happens in Oklahoma, Becky and Ryan, two of these board members, mind you, Kevin Stitt appointees, but also Republican, conservative, everything. They claimed they were the only ones sitting at this like round table where they could see a television that like Ryan Walters is. You know how if you're doing a Zoom meeting and you're running a board meeting or something, you might have your computer screencast, whatever the word is for that, to the TV so everyone can see
And
everyone.
you gotta be careful about them tabs. You
Yes.
gotta be careful.
So my understanding is Ryan Walters is putting the Zoom link on the TV so people can see. But again, you're at your computer. You don't need to watch the TV. So only Becky and Ryan can see the television, which is presumably casting from Ryan Walters' computer. And according to, here's a news report. Deathridge said he noticed the video first while a parent was speaking about her appeal of a district transfer denial. As Deathridge weighed his options about how to bring the video to the room's attention,
Oh my God.
Becky Carson noticed
Oh my
the
God.
nudity.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This is Becky Carson. I was like, what am I seeing? I kind of was in shock, honestly. I started to question whether I was actually seeing what I was seeing, Carson said. I was like, is that woman naked? And then I was like, no, she's got a bodysuit on. And it happened very quickly. I was like, that is not a bodysuit. And I hate to even use these terms, but I said, those are her nipples. And then I was looking closer and I got a full body view. And I was like, that is pubic hair. Even right now, I couldn't even tell you what I was watching.
Oh my God.
Here's the takeaway from that. Okay, naked people are on the screen somewhere, but also two board members separately saw what she was seeing.
And then it becomes a comedy of manners of like, how do you bring this to his attention without...
So the article goes on. I was so disturbed by it that I was like, very loudly and boastfully, like I was a parent or a teacher, I said, what is on your TV?
Oh my God.
What am I watching?
Oh my God.
He, Ryan Walters, was like, what? What are you talking about? He stood up and saw it. He made acknowledgement that he saw it, Carson recalled. And I said, turn it off now. And he was like, what is this? What is this? So he acknowledged it was inappropriate just by those words. And he was like, I can't get it to turn off. I can't figure out how to turn it off. And I said, get it turned off. So we finally got it turned off.
Oh.
And that was the end of it. He didn't address it. He didn't apologize. Nothing was said. End of quote.
Oh my God, my fight or flight is activated during this.
Beautiful.
This is might be people in embarrassing situations is my kryptonite. That's why I can't watch Ben Stiller movies in general. I just cannot imagine just my skeleton leaving my body while I'm watching.
Are you putting yourself in Becky Carson's shoes here?
Okay. I am. Just to watch somebody be uncomfortable. To be clear, the reason I'm not putting myself in Ryan Walters' shoes is because I don't watch porn at work. Because I'm a grown-up. I have a phone for that.
I was trying to figure out, like, what could possibly...
I have some mags under my mattress.
What could possibly have happened here? My thinking is there...
He was watching porn at work and
he has probably two
illiterate.
different windows up on his computer. One's the public Zoom screen, whatever, but he has another tab open.
Screen.
There's another tab open somewhere, is my guess, maybe on a different browser or something. And there is a setting on Zoom or anything like that where it's like, do you want to screen share? And you could screen share the whole Zoom thing.
Or just...
But you could also screen share your entire friggin' screen, like not just the tab you're focusing on, but the entire screen. I wonder if that's what he was sharing accidentally, so people could see, oh, there's another tab open there, and oh, there's video playing, and that's what we are seeing. That's my hunch as to what was going on.
I wonder if it's one of those... like when you plug in your computer to a screen, you can either mirror it or you can like extend your screen.
That too.
That's my guess, is that it like ended up like he couldn't see it on his monitor because it was only playing on that screen. You know what I mean?
There's so many possibilities here.
So many possibilities and so easy to avoid all of them.
Oh, yeah. So it's unclear what he was watching, but both members said...
Pornography.
Both members said it wasn't explicitly sexual. They were not having sex on screen, but there were naked women on the screen. plural. Deathridge later said there were, quote, multiple nude women along with some kind of, quote, chiropractic table.
What the fuck?
And I don't know what that's supposed to entail. I don't know what sort of thing he was watching.
Oh my God.
Like if it was, let's say, he was watching Netflix, like a movie on the side of his screen.
Oh, I see.
It would be very easy to say, you guys, I was watching this movie,
Game of Thrones.
whatever. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And something came up that shouldn't have been seen. That would have been a very easy cop-out. But the fact that he's like, oh, you did, I don't know what that is. You can't see anything.
Magic.
Yeah.
God did it.
The fact that he couldn't explain himself in the moment
So
or even
fucking
pretend it was
funny.
a pop-up or something and couldn't apologize later kind of gives away the whole game. And again, of all the things Ryan Walters has done, this is the thing I have the least problem with, but also
I mean,
hilarious.
it's the biggest unforced error of them all, I would
That too.
say.
He was hoping all of this would go away because he's not talking about it.
Because he doesn't know how the internet works and how much we love dunking on him.
Yes. And so, like, the more appropriate course of action would have been to acknowledge it openly, discuss it right then and there in private. And
Yeah.
Carson knew what was up. This is Becky Carson speaking. She's describing Ryan Walters. Like a teenager when you walk in the room and they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
Oh, I know
Beautiful,
that look.
beautiful.
Oh my God. By the way, Deathridge is my Melissa cover band. My Melissa Etheridge rock cover band.
Yeah, there you go. And then making matters worse, because just like Trump with Epstein, Ryan Walters is like, how can I take the situation and just make it worse for me?
Yeah.
Here's what Walters said later. He got it. First of all, he didn't say anything at first. He got his lackey in the office to do it for him. So this is his director of communications, Quentin Hitchcock.
That's a good name, too.
Very appropriate name for what we are talking about here. Okay. This is the director of communications. What an absolute joke of a story.
Oh.
And this is embarrassing from you to write a junk tabloid lie. Any number of people have access to these offices. You have a hostile board who will say and do anything except tell the truth. And now, Nonsense Doc, the website is non-doc. Nonsense Doc is reporting on an alleged random TV cable image. Rock solid truth in journalism.
Yeah, no.
That
I mean, you
didn't
can
help.
you can try that.
I mean-
like, wait, I'm sorry. Is he saying that either somebody came into the office, pulled up pornography on Ryan Walters' computer, so that's a data breach for sure, definitely a security issue, and then left some porn.
And that's what they did with his
there.
computer. It's like,
Yeah,
how can I
they-
sabotage your laptop? I'm going to have porn running in the background
And I
on your
wanna be
screen, and
clear.
you'll never see it.
The only place a person can access pornography is on a computer, not even a laptop. It needs to be a tower computer,
By the way,
apparently.
another side note, let's say Ryan Walters was the one doing this. Oklahoma is one of those states that has a law that you have to prove you're 18.
Oh,
which
so
means
there's a trail?
It's possible if he was watching this, either he's using a VPN, it's possible he actually showed his license on the screen, though they wouldn't have kept that information.
Wait, that's
But,
what
like,
that's what you have to do?
It's wild. So there are so many things that had to happen for Ryan Walters to have done this that the point you're trying to make, like, really, their excuse is someone came in and like got on his computer. It's very unbelievable. Also, this is an alleged random TV cable.
I'm
What is
sorry,
playing on cable that you
Do you
think?
have satellite connected to your computer and it just streams? And what are you talking
And what are you watching that's showing full frontal female nudity in the middle of the morning, mind you?
morning? Like, have some self-respect, dude. Do it under the cover of night where you're
And again,
shameless.
those two board members who called this out are Republican conservatives appointed by Kevin Stitt. There's no reason to think they made this up because up until this point, it's not like they're us being critical of Ryan Walters. They're pretty much on board with Ryan Walters. So what makes the story especially juicy
stupid.
is not just that Ryan Walters is conservative, it's that he has made porn in schools like a rallying cry that needs to be stopped. Literally in 2023, he made a video calling for, quote, porn-free schools.
Wow, so brave.
So brave.
Wow.
And by that, I think he meant this story has a gay character and we need to get rid of it.
Oh, yeah.
He pushed to ban books that included, quote, radical sexual material.
like nipples and pubic hair?
I honestly think it's a gay character, maybe saying "I love you" to another gay character.
Gross.
That's what he thinks is radical sexual. But none of those books that ever make those lists randomly include a group of naked women, I don't know, giving each other massages. It's
Why is it a chiropractic table?
I think he was trying to say just it's a table, like a doctor's office massage type of table, but I didn't see them doing anything with the table, so I don't know what the hell was going on.
So weird.
It's so weird. Meanwhile, when lawmakers were asking him, hey, give us examples of what it is you're trying to ban in schools, like what is it that's explicit, he sent them a bunch of graphic, sexually explicit photos at the time, but never said where they came from or which schools were making them available to kids.
Okay.
Which means, like, this isn't even the first time Walters has been condemned for sharing pornographic content with unsuspecting government officials.
Oh my God.
And again, the hypocrisy is the issue here because I don't care what this guy watches in his spare time. I don't even care if he's doing it at work when no one's around. Like, whatever, do your job. He can't even do that. But he's the guy who accuses everyone else of sexual perversion. Can you imagine what he would do if an English teacher accidentally showed students in class what he just shared with the Board of Education?
It's so funny, and like the Ted Cruz of it all is coming back.
Beautiful,
it's
yes.
so good.
Ted Cruz, who famously liked a still from a pornographic video. Actually, it might have been the video itself, but
I think it was the video
screenshot that got shared, and he did it on 9/11 because he's Ted Cruz.
God bless him.
By the way, by Friday night, the day after the meeting happened, Friday is when everyone found out what happened because the board members are like, we got to tell someone about this. By the way, a third board member who did not see the TV, did not see this on the screen, he's like, well, I believe my colleagues. Like, why would they lie about this? That's stupid.
Yeah, that's weird that you had to clarify that. I would assume that everybody in the room was like, yeah, it was fucking weird, dog.
By Friday night, Walters is like, this is a conspiracy. This is what he said. Some of these board members are blatantly dishonest and cannot hide their political agenda. It's disappointing that they're more interested in creating distractions than getting work done for Oklahoma families. It wasn't
done,
dishonesty.
Like making sure your Bibles have a leather or leatherette cover.
2 different board members saw the footage, while others were there when Carson confronted him in real time and saw the look of shock on Ryan Walters' face. They didn't see the image, but they saw Ryan Walters be like,
Is there some sort of gene that makes men unable to just say, oops, sorry?
Yeah, it's called being a Republican.
Just
there's no longer shame. Like in the past, if you got caught in a scandal like this, you would say, I'm resigning.
Now you just scream at everybody else until you get your own.
They learned from Trump, yes.
Yeah.
Now, an investigation has been launched by the state's Office of Management and Enterprise Services, and to which that's the entity that would do that type of investigation. Like, look at his computer. Did anyone hack it? Did anyone get access to it? What's the deal? So they said, all right, I guess we'll waste our time and do this shit.
Wait, hold on 1 second. I just need to, wasn't there a whole thing about cybersecurity in 2016 about how government officials had to be so fucking careful about where they access things and what they put on their computer and Hillary Clinton's emails, but this guy is logging onto porn sites with his government-issued computer?
Apparently. That's what it sounds like.
That's why we couldn't have our first woman president.
And that's why Oklahoma doesn't have an education system anymore. Now, if the OMES, the state group that does this sort of investigation.
I mean, let's be clear. There's not going to be consequences for this guy. There's not. I will give you $100 if there's any consequences.
Remember, Republicans in Oklahoma tried to get him impeached. They didn't have enough support to do that. Now, it is not clear. Let's say you're Ryan Walters. My first thought is, well, he'll probably just delete his browser history, though, and there's no record of it. But also, if you were smart, you would delete just a handful of files or cookies or whatever instead of wipe your whole slate clean. So I wonder what their investigation is going to be, etc. But
I also feel like it's one of the. From what I know about Ryan Walters, it seems like he would throw everything into his trash folder and not realize that he has to empty it.
And that's what I hope they investigate. I hope they can look into it and figure it out. Now, as of, I think this is on Tuesday of this week, he decided to finally give a press conference about all this because I don't think it's going away for him.
So this is
I'm
yesterday.
going to play this for you. The sound quality is not great, but this is the original that I got. And I just want you to hear how he's trying to be Trump. His idol is Trump. Listen to him try to be Trump and get out of this.
What we've seen transpire over the last 5 days is the nastiest, biggest lie ever lodged at an official in Oklahoma.
Wow.
I cannot begin to describe the disgusting nature of the lies leveled against me
This goes on for a while.
by board members, by the media,
That's us.
and by the teachers union.
That's you.
Teachers Union.
This has been a coordinated attack to crucify my character and to try to stop the will of Oklahomans and their vision for education in the state of Oklahoma.
He's not
For the
done.
past 5 days, my kids have got to see headlines that are lies. For the last 5 days,
That wasn't a thing.
my family has watched as a press corps showed why the public has zero trust in their reporting. My family has watched as board members stopped at nothing to stop education reform in the state of Oklahoma.
One more thing here.
These board members have a lot to answer for, and so does the governor of the state of Oklahoma. Did he direct these board members
Wow.
to lie
All the way to the top.
about me?
That's just a little bit of his press conference.
Holy shit.
First of all, his
Did
kids did
the-
not read the headlines. They don't know how to read.
Also,
Kevin Stitt directed the board members to make up a lie about Ryan Walters. That's what
And
he's
what a
going with.
yeah, this is it goes all the way to the top tinfoil hat kind of thing.
And if you wanted
Did
to plant,
he-
if you wanted to sabotage Ryan Walters,
You could do-
that's the way you think your enemies would go about it.
It's so embarrassing.
The funniest thing about this is if this were Trump, he would say Democrats are out to get me.
Yeah.
If you're Ryan Walters in Oklahoma,
There
you
are no
can't. There are
Democrats.
no Democrats in the state practically,
They
so
just-
we can't blame Democrats for it. So he's like, yeah, the Republican governor and his Republican board members are out to get me.
I guess this is the kind of infighting I thought would happen much, much sooner.
If only.
You know,
If
like
only.
this, I truly do believe, because it reminds me of, you know, the Fast and Furious franchise?
Sure.
I'm going to get back to what we're talking about, I promise. You know, The Rock and Vin Diesel, they're two movie actors.
Sure.
Big gentlemen. They both have it in their contracts that they can't lose a fight on screen. Which, again, so fucking embarrassing for men in general, the preciousness of them. But that's what kind of the MAGA or Trump Republican world feels like now of, I can't lose. If I admit anything wrong, I lose.
No
And
apologies, never
I
for anything.
cannot acknowledge it. We're just going to plow ahead. And I think that's a bad way to tell stories for the Fast and Furious franchise and a worse way to run not just the country, but just your life. Not a good way to do that.
I'm going to play one more clip for you. This is another part of his press conference.
How old are his kids again?
I don't know. He probably has 8 of them.
Are they reading the New York Times in the morning?
I'm sure they are. Here's the other part I wanted to play for you.
We have had our name cleared by both OMES and the sheriff's office. There is nothing scandalous that I was a part of whatsoever. And the lies will have consequences.
Well, that's a threat.
Those individuals that tried to assassinate my character and print and publish things that are demonstrably false and provably false, we'll be hearing from us and all of Oklahomans very, very soon.
So you got the threats against the media for reporting what everyone said happened, but
Threats against his coworkers.
The thing I want to point out, he said OMES and the sheriff's office have cleared me of any wrongdoing, right? That's the first thing he said.
I don't think anybody accused him of breaking a law.
No, but he said they cleared me. Here's what they actually said, because in a memo to Oklahoma legislators who said, hey, OMES, can you do an investigation on this? So they wrote back to him, the office, and they said, we, quote, cannot determine definitively whether or not an incident took place. Like, we don't have enough information to know if he screencast something he wasn't supposed to do. That's what they said initially. There's no, like, forensic laptop thing. It's not that serious of a thing. So they're not
this
digging
is no
in.
Hunter Biden, like, doing coke once.
So the OMES memo has no language, though, clearing Walters. It just says, look, we don't know. And that's it. And Walters is like, see, they cleared me. I'm fine. They found nothing. It's like, yeah, because you probably cleared your browser history. And so what do you want? But he wasn't cleared. He lied about that. They didn't say he absolutely did not do this. They just said, look, we're not going to be able to figure it out.
Who lies? I just am wondering, like, obviously, like I said before, this sort of I can't lose anything top-down bullshit is unsustainable because things go wrong and people make mistakes, and people don't just make mistakes, they maliciously try to ruin an entire state. But boy, you can just say sorry. You can just say I don't know how it got there. You can this is Streisand affecting all over the place.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's not going away.
No, it's not. And frankly, why should it? Why should the person who is like the fucking witch finder general about pornography be excused from this at work, no less? Can you imagine if a teacher? You said this already, but imagine if a teacher accidentally broadcast porn in front of their kids.
The OMES report that they sent to lawmakers also said, by the way, a one-time passcode is required to access screencasting to the television, which means it's not something like if you wanted to sabotage him, you could hack into. He has to personally type in the code. Like, he probably did it and didn't realize he was sharing his whole ass screen.
I guess I'm also wondering, what do the next 6 months or year or whatever of the Oklahoma State House look like? If these two people, as you said, like, the governor's Republican, these two people were Republicans, like, he doesn't have any more Democrats to fight against.
Oh, no, he'll keep fighting against Republicans in the battle of who Trump daddy loves most.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, again, this is an unsustainable model of galvanizing people and, like, just shucking people who even slightly don't pass, like, a purity test.
That's the entire Republican Party now.
But it's...
And for what it's worth, the Democrats, too.
Yeah.
Walters also said he was cleared by OMES. I just told you that's not what they said. He also said he was cleared by the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. According to the Oklahoman newspaper, a spokesman for the Sheriff's Office said no one had been cleared of wrongdoing and that an investigation into what happened is proceeding. So he's trying to get ahead of all that. Hasn't even happened.
Recently rewatched The American Society of Magical Negroes, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Do you remember this movie coming out?
The title sounds familiar.
It's basically a comedy drama about the secret society of black people who, like, buddy up to white dudes to make sure they don't, like, fucking lose their mind and kill everybody. And the guy who is the white dude in this is just this character exactly of, like, he said something really racist and the guy was like, hey, you said something racist and that sucked. He's like, no, I didn't, because I'm not racist. So I wouldn't have said something racist. And if I said something racist, I'd be racist. So I didn't say anything. And this is what it feels like.
I've heard this a lot from, like, Republicans. You can't accuse me of racism because I don't wear a white hood and I don't go to Klan rallies. It's like, yeah, okay, you're not part of a group, but that's not how we're defining it.
Yeah, that's not where the line is for me to be racist.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So
the
story isn't going away because these people don't know how to just keep it in their pants at work.
Why?
Good times.
Like, especially, I would never, ever of course, I've never had my own office, but I would never consider going on porn at work. And whenever I'm about to screencast something.
On your work
on
computer.
my work computer. When I'm about to screencast something, I check every fucking tab, every window. I heard my friend Jen was on a work call and her boss was
Not
screen
because you're
sharing.
going to find porn. I'm like, I don't want you seeing the stupid shit I actually read.
Yerp. My friend's boss was running a meeting and forgot she was on screen share and just started online shopping for like 20 minutes. It was like,
beautiful.
You have to be careful. And especially if you're pretending you're the morality police and that pornography is the worst thing that ever happened. Like,
Love it.
These people.
Someone clip that and just play that on a loop. All right. I'm jumping to a totally different story. This one I haven't seen covered very much, but I found it fascinating and disturbing. So here you go.
Is this the thing I sent to you about the person getting...
Yes.
Yes.
It is. You're the one that sent me this. Thank you.
I did send it to you.
So here's the story.
Guys, I'm a source.
Yes. There's a place called Leatherwood Baptist Church. It's in Alabama. And for months now, they've been promoting their like summer youth camp for grades 6 through 12. So they were like, hey, June 4th through the 7th, we're going to go to a campground in Texas. And the kids are going to do worship services and Bible study, but also it's Bible camp, right? Like going to the beach, playing games, doing service projects. This is not weird at all for like bigger churches to pull off. So and actually, they only cost $250 a kid, for including the flight to Texas, which means the church is subsidizing quite a bit of this.
Just want to acknowledge Courtney Payton is the one who sent me this story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.
So that was the plan. It was not hard to find their advertisements on Facebook for this youth camp where they say activities, basketball, pickleball, swimming, worship, Bible study, campfire. Okay, fine, whatever, not my thing. But they also shared the agenda for what they're going to do over the course of the several days. And they include like the big activity on the first full day that they are there is a service project that goes from 11 to 5. The next day, the big activity is going to the beach in addition to worship and small group and whatever. Like, all right, that makes sense. Now, a week before the flight took off, the church began promoting the same event as not a youth camp like they did months prior, but a mission trip, which maybe that's a distinction without a difference, but it doesn't seem like they're screaming canoes and summer camp as much.
No, like a mission trip to me is going usually outside your country to primarily proselytize. And possibly maybe do like Habitat for Humanity stuff.
And they're going to Houston, Texas. Like it's not exactly where are you going to
that's where
proselytize.
Beyonce is from.
So it seems like it's a shift from what they were promoting. And one of the parents of a girl who was planning to go on this trip, her name is Courtney Wingo, she asked the youth ministries director at the church, his name is Mike Webb, are kids like evangelizing to like homeless people? This is what she said. This is first reported by a website, Ministry Watch. She told Ministry Watch that she remembers specifically asking if her daughter would be like under bridges handing out tracts to homeless people. Wingo was familiar with Houston and that it is considered one of the most dangerous cities in America for violent crime.
Really?
Wingo said Webb assured her the service project involved time serving at an area food bank. And satisfied, Wingo gave the church the remaining balance for the trip. Yeah, makes sense. So first day of the camp comes and goes. Everything seems fine. If you look at their social media, seems like kids are doing exactly what they thought they would do. Now, here's where it all takes a strange turn. The plan was to have the kids go work at a local food bank, which is fine.
Yeah.
But right after that, the children were driven, and they have like 5 vans. That's how many kids they have participating.
5 vans?
5 big-ass church vans.
Like 300 kids?
Yeah, I think it's like 75. But like those types of vans, the children are driven to a local tent city where unhoused people set up encampments underneath a bridge. And these kids are as young as 9.
Jeez.
And they were told, go evangelize to those people. As if Jesus is the thing that these people need more than anything.
Wow.
And then the group returned the next day to do even more of it. This time they brought food with them, which functions as a kind of bribe, I guess. But okay, there is a safe way to feed people who are hungry. That's not what they were doing.
Sending 9-year-olds in with like a Big Mac is not going to do it.
these kids were not trained as evangelists, but they were also not taught what safety measures to take when confronting people.
Sorry,
who,
the first problem you have is they're not trained as evangelists?
I mean, if you're going to be an evangelist and you're going to, like, let's say a tribe that is uncontacted, there are Christians who will say, well, if you're going to meet with these people, you got to know their cultural norms. You got to know how to approach them. They didn't get any of that. Mind you, these are not like different cultures or anything, but like they didn't get any training about how do you tell people to accept Jesus.
Yeah.
But also they were not told, hey, if you're going to this particular community, these are things you should look out for, watch out for, which is a
Yeah.
thing you would expect if these were adults. But no, these are children.
And how many adults
And
were supervising the children?
3. They were not warned. They were not warned about the possible dangers about going into this particular kind of space, which includes the possibility of mental illness, violence, drugs, needles on the ground, other health hazards. Like they were just brainwashed into thinking spreading the gospel overrides all those concerns. By the way, I want you to see this picture and describe it to people. I'm showing Jess a picture that the church posted on Facebook to brag about this.
Oh, yikes.
Yes. Yes, that is the right answer. Ignore the porn in the lower tab. Right. No, but like this is the image that they shared on social media.
That's maybe one of the bleakest pictures I've seen
And what are we
ever.
looking at here?
So it's a bunch of kids, young people, standing across the way from a really big homeless encampment under a really big bridge. That it's not under bridges like we have bridges here. They have like it looks like 4 square city blocks of under a bridge. And it's just a bunch of tents and an American flag.
There you go.
And that doesn't feel like, listen, I'm not here I want to be very clear. I don't want to demonize unhoused people. I understand
Right.
the circumstances that land people on the street are circumstances any of us can face at any given time. So like,
If you took the kids out of the picture and just shared a picture of that, it would be like one of those, I'm trying to get clicks to show you something that's depressing and horrible.
yeah, and
But
maybe we should treat human beings better
Yes.
than that, America.
But when you add these kids in, it's like we're the solution that those people need. There's literally a divide between the two groups. Like we're going in to save them. It's
It
disturbing.
does looks like a pre-military charge,
right.
right? Of like we're setting up to like
In that
one,
Facebook
once
post,
more into the breach.
when they shared that picture, the caption said, 3 residents of Tent City made the decision to follow Jesus.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. When you're in Texas, nobody's told you about Jesus yet.
Never.
That's the
It
big
is
problem.
unclear how many of these people, those 3 residents, said it because they felt pressured or because they wanted the food. I don't know.
Or felt bad for these
Or
little
felt bad for the
children who are
kids.
clearly not in a safe place.
But again, the big issue is what precautions did you take before sending kids into that encampment?
I mean, I can't imagine managing 75 kids with only 2 other adults. That's just that's impossible.
Yes. I mean, it just reeks of this white savior complex
Oh,
that we've heard about with missionary trips where well-meaning but very naive teenagers think like, if I go to Africa for 3 days, I will fix everything.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's the adults who made the kids go there. Haves versus have-nots, and the haves have no clue what to do other than throw some Bible verses at these people who have very little.
Well, and I think also the other problem is that this sort of reinforces this sort of mission that Christians have. Whereas what they should be, when they go to these places, they should be thinking to themselves, like, how did all of these people get here? And what could we as a society
Is it policies
do?
that our parents vote for
Yeah,
that leads
is it
to
like-
this situation?
I read recently that a huge number of homeless people are kids who phased out of the foster care program and just don't have anywhere to go.
So they came back from their trip. It was June 4th through June 7th. On June 8th, Webb, who is the youth ministries director, he spoke about the trip at the church. And he was
Okay.
telling everyone, how did it go? Let me tell you how it
And
went.
nobody's complained at this point. This is
No
still,
one's really complained. I'll come back to the complaints for a second, but he's talking like, yeah, everything was great. Let me tell you all about it. I'm going to play a clip from what he told the church about what happened.
When we went to Tent City, I'm not going to lie, when we first pulled up, we went to
like
the
Bill
food
Clinton.
bank. When we left, I knew that we needed to go serve the homeless, not just in the food bank where it was safe. We needed to get out of our comfort zone and go. We left there, or as we were leaving, I Googled, where can I find the homeless population in Houston?
Oh,
First thing that
no.
pops up, Tent City. So that's where we're going.
No.
We drive over there in the vans. We pull in. Ain't no way I'm getting these kids out of this van. I will be fired. Mamas will be beating down my door. We're not getting out. We pulled to the end. We circled the cul-de-sac. We're pulling back out. Guys, I even tried to justify it. Guys, I just want you to see what's here. I want you to see how people live. I need you to understand how fortunate you are. This is what it is, guys. All right, let's head back to the ranch.
This is later in the speech.
Okay.
But let me just tell you, we get out.
Oh.
We walked through and we didn't have anything.
Time
This is
jump.
the
We didn't know
next
what we
day
were
after
doing.
they return.
That was another piece of it. I didn't want to walk in there with 75 people into a homeless village and we ain't got anything to give. Like we're just invading
That's
your
not a
space.
problem.
You know what I mean? But we had that older couple that walked with us and we began talking. And I said, guys, we're coming back tomorrow. We're going to put together some food. We're going to put together some sandwiches. We're going to come back. We're going to feed and we're going to open doors. And everybody was, hearing this message and we started promoting it amongst the people. We started telling them that was our initial welcome. Hey, we're going to be back here tomorrow.
So again, he drives to this tent city that he found on Google.
I can't
he was
believe
like,
he
I
Googled
can't,
it like on the drive
yeah,
over.
we can't go here. And they were about to drive away, but they turned around right then and there to talk to people. And then he's like, we're going to come back tomorrow, but we'll bring bribes for you. So again, what did he do? He took 75 kids. He split them up into groups of like 3 or 4.
Oh.
And then had them run rampant around that tent city looking for new converts with 3 adults supervising all of it. I guess there were 5 other adults who stayed back to give out food, like set up a bench or something.
Oh my God.
But in the sermon, he admitted that one of the people he spoke to, one of the people who was unhoused, was, quote, high as a cat, right back on that meth. Which just raises more questions about why he thought it would be okay for kids to preach at these people.
At somebody who's currently under the influence of meth?
Yes.
Yeah, no thank you.
Even if you believe that the cause of helping the homeless is totally justified, to take that many kids to a space where their safety cannot be guaranteed, where precautions were ignored, it's just gross incompetence on the part of the church.
inappropriate.
They're lucky nothing happened to the kids. But, and this goes back to your point, not everyone was okay with what he did, and that included that mother, Courtney Wingo. As she told Ministry Watch, her daughter was so excited about summer camp, she actually used her saved up birthday money to pay for the camp, the $250. But when this happened, her daughter called up her mom back at the camp to say, this is sketchy. So this is day 1 of the 2 that they go to the tent city. On day 1, later that day, back at the ranch where the group was staying, Cameron, the girl, called her mom and reported what had happened. She said she was not given the choice to remain in the van with any of the leaders. Cameron was not given any evangelism training, Wingo said, nor were there any safety instructions provided other than stay close.
Jesus Christ.
And then the next day, many returned to Tent City, but this time, students were given the option to stay at the lodge. Cameron chose to stay behind. Webb, the youth ministry's director, admitted he pressured at least a few of the students to return to the homeless camp.
Cool.
So at this point, the mother, she confronts the church's senior pastor, Phil Winningham, about like how irresponsible this was. And their response is, we'll give you back the $250. And that's all they did. Haven't apologized for anything.
In the history of this podcast, that's not the worst not apology I've heard. At least they did something.
I think they wanted the mom to shut up.
Well.
Yeah. But she then wrote a formal letter to the church just saying, what the hell are you people doing? This is what she wrote in the letter. Cameron was completely unprepared, emotionally, physically, and spiritually for what she encountered in the tent city. She feels hurt, misled, and betrayed. That is not the spiritual or emotional impact I was expecting from what was advertised as a church-sponsored youth event. This is not about whether ministry to the homeless is right or wrong. It is about the ethical, legal, and moral obligation to protect minors, communicate transparently with parents, and respect clearly stated boundaries. It is completely unacceptable for a youth pastor to disregard a parent's explicit instructions and expose children to high-risk environments without consent.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was really well written.
Now, ignoring consent, of course, is something conservative churches know about all too well. Now, on Reddit, she didn't know what to do with this because the church isn't doing anything about it. So Courtney, the mother, later posted on Reddit about, like, I forgot which specific subreddit she posted in.
True off my chest.
Yeah, like, I think she posted in a couple others before that. But, like, it wasn't the right subreddit for it. But it was very much, I just need to tell somebody this thing happened. And she said she got directly in the youth minister's face. He's like, why'd you put my daughter in that situation? And he admitted, yes, I did put her in that situation. But he did it, he added, because God led me. So anyway, she later updated. I tried to get in touch with the mother. I didn't get a response from her, but she later said she and her daughter no longer go to that church.
Oh, good for them.
She also said a little too cult-like for me and mine.
Oh my God.
And by the way, the church is already planning another youth trip to Honduras. But in the wake of this publicity, they've removed that information from their social media for now. I don't know that means they're not doing it, but they don't want people to know they're doing it.
I just, as a little thought exercise for everybody out there, anytime you hear somebody say, God told me to do it, God is moving through me, blah, 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 just ignore that and just sub in, I wanna. Because that is truly
it's the same thing.
It's all it ever is. Like, oh, why did you molest that underage girl? Well, God told, no, I wanted to.
That story's later.
Anyway, I wanna. God, these people are so fucking selfish and self-deluded. Imagine pretending that you have the moral high ground over not just like you and like your friend group, but like you are the moral dude of your town and you make such a bad judgment call like this. We need to stop letting people do anything. I had no idea how that sentence was going to end.
There you go. I'm going to jump to the other story that made headlines everywhere this week, which is that the Trump administration's Office of Personnel Management, which is basically how should the government agencies run their offices and stuff, they issued a new memo saying, you guys, you can now proselytize at work. We're saying it's okay now.
What?
Yeah, that's the thing they just put out.
Is that a thing you can do?
Well, it doesn't technically apply.
Wait, what the fuck? Is that a law? Isn't it just like like most jobs have a policy of like, hey, keep your shit to your shit?
Yes.
I don't think there's it's
this
not like
isn't
praying
a legal
in
thing.
schools.
What they're saying is, listen, there's no law for against anything. The law is be a good colleague and don't annoy everybody. That's how workplaces work. And so this rule, the memo, it doesn't apply only to Christians, but it's very much designed for Christians. So here's what they actually said. The director of the Office of Personnel Management is a guy named Scott Cooper. He's a former venture capitalist. He just got confirmed to the job this month. And that means he's trying to make his mark. Yeah. So it's a 5-page memo that it sent out. And the title was Protecting Religious Expression in the Federal Workplace.
Oh, it's a federal workplace thing.
Yeah. Now, that's already legal religious expression. If you want to like wear a cross necklace or a hijab, like it's legal. So I was reading through this. I'm like, none of this is interesting yet. Like page 1, there's nothing new here. Page 2, nothing new here. You have to get to page 3 before you figure out what this is really about. Specifically, the memo outlines certain actions that should not result in any kind of punishment. Okay, so one of them is religious icons in your personal space. Here's what it says. This concerns display and use of items used for religious purposes or religious icons. Employees should be permitted to display and use items used for religious purposes or icons of a religiously significant nature, including, but not limited to, Bibles, artwork, jewelry, posters with religious messages, and other things about religion, such as crosses, crucifixes, mezuzahs, whatever. You can put it on your desks.
Prayer rugs?
You could put it on your desks, on your person, or in your assigned workspaces. It doesn't say prayer rugs, but theoretically that would be fine too. But what that means is if you're working in the federal government and you want to put a giant cross in your cubicle or a sign that says or implies non-believers will burn in hell.
Don't talk to me until I've had my Christian.
Yes. Non-believers will burn in hell, or like one of those, bless your heart, you're all fucked, unless you agree with me. It's all okay. Now, what happens if you put up a sign saying Satan loves you? Theoretically, that would also be okay, but I feel like that would not be accepted the same way.
No.
But it creates a bunch of conflicts because there's a fine line between wearing a cross necklace or a hijab or something and telling everyone in your office, like, my religious beliefs are front and center. Look at the giant back of my cubicle where you could see.
I mean, so like, to be clear, this is a waste of the government's time to be working on memos like this.
They got nothing else to do.
But like, okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, put up a fucking cross in your cubicle. I don't give a shit.
Right.
Like, who are you arguing against? Like, who are you strawmanning here?
And that's the thing. This was already permitted, but they're basically giving Christians permission to be worse. Like, colleagues will now battle it out to see who's a better Christian, right? Non-Christians are basically going to be made to feel like outcasts because they don't pull this shit. And if atheists or Satanists put up symbols of their own beliefs, I would imagine other people will call that hostile in a way that traditional religious symbols will not be. Like, what happens when someone has a poster on their cubicle wall that points to one of those anti-gay clobber verses in an office that has LGBTQ employees? One of those verses.
What words did you just say to
clobber
me?
verses, the ones that are like gay people deserve to be executed by the government.
Like, is this
Thou shalt not lie with a man as you lie with a woman.
Clobber.
Yes. Yes.
Oof,
Anyway,
okay.
if you put up if you're like, here's the Bible verse, but it's the verse that basically says if you are a practicing gay person, you should be murdered.
To be clear,
is that okay or not okay now in the office?
I thought you meant clobberverse, like the Marvel universe, but it's the
which would be
clobberverse.
fantastic.
And I truly was thinking so hard of like, is there a system of games where all you do is like beat up gay people? Boy,
It's called church.
My brain really ran a lot of laps trying to figure out what the fuck you were saying.
What happens if it's not a colleague doing this shit, but your
boss
doing this shit? Are employees going to be expected to agree with that in order to get a promotion? Or what happens if you criticize that faith or express a different one? Does that hinder your advancement in the workplace? Because all of that's explicitly forbidden, but how would you know if your religious differences and not the merit of your work is the reason you're being held back? Because again, that's what this memo does. It gives Christians permission to go all out in expressing their faith, and that hurts people who are religious minorities or non-religious. This is why you don't want public school teachers having giant Bibles on their desk. There's a power dynamic. It puts pressure on students to go along with it,
right?
Or at least stay quiet if there's any disagreement.
Sure.
But if your boss at the federal government's doing it, what are you supposed to do? Okay, but that's not even the most disturbing rule. The one that made all the headlines is the one that concerns conversations between federal employees. All right, here's this memo part. Employees may engage in conversations regarding religious topics with fellow employees, including attempting to persuade others of the correctness of their own religious views, provided that such efforts are not harassing in nature.
Okay.
And I'll just pause there.
Well, that's impossible because proselytizing is in of itself.
That was where
harassing.
my mind went as well. What's the mild version? Like, what's the difference between you harassing me about Jesus and mild proselytizing? What's the acceptable way for Christians to tell colleagues they deserve to be tortured for eternity, but the only way to escape that fate is if they join your book club? There's no nice way to do that. It's all harassing.
I just remembered a time I was late for class in college because two Mormon missionaries stopped me on the street and just held me there in their verbal jujitsu trap for like 10 minutes, and I was late to class, and I was carrying this fucking Jesus card, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this Jesus card. Can I throw it away? I don't know. And imagine if that's your office. Like, I'm just trying to get a fucking cup of coffee, and Cheryl's over there in the corner proselytizing again. Ugh, she's on angel numbers this week. Angel numbers, is that a thing?
Is that a thing?
I think.
Angels dancing on the head of a pin sort of thing?
No, it's something about certain numbers are magic.
Oh, okay. The memo also says unwillingness to engage in such conversations may not be the basis of workplace discipline. But that is, again, a weird thing to say, because if you tell someone like, Karen, shut up about Jesus.
Please, I don't want to do this right now. Like, this
is that harassment? Like, because who's to blame here if this lady in your office is like, I need to talk to you
so
about
miserable.
Jesus, and you're like, I don't want to hear anything about Jesus.
Yeah.
I hate Jesus.
And now
I
you're
don't care
harassing
about
her.
Yeah, who's the harasser in this case, right? Who decides this? By the way, in the memo, page 5 has examples of specifics, just so people aren't confused.
Sure.
And here's what it says.
And they are so confused so much
During
of the
a
time.
break, an employee may engage another in polite discussion of why his faith is correct and why the non-adherent should rethink his religious beliefs. However, if the
God.
non-adherent requests such attempts to stop, the employee should honor the request. Which, you know, when you tell a Christian to stop with the Jesus
I've
shit,
nev-
they always just say, oh, all right then, tip my hat to you.
I've
I will walk
never
away.
heard this term of my religion is best. Is that or correct? What did I say?
Why his faith is correct.
Is correct. I have truly never heard anybody put like proselytizing that way. Like, because they must have had to play with that wording for a long time, because I'm trying to think of
I
like.
disagree. I think they very much, this is draft 1 and they're like, it's perfect, just send it
I
out.
mean, I think, no, because I think it would be like, you can tell somebody that the word of God is true or something like that. Like, that's too specific for anything.
Again, this is written for Christians, so they know
but
for
they're
it.
trying to pretend to obfuscate a little bit, right? Like, they're trying to pretend they're like all sides in it.
Yes. But again, wink, wink,
but they
Christians,
really-
this is for you. Like, imagine the most annoying person in your office.
God.
Now imagine that person is Christian. Now imagine you work for the government. The Trump administration is giving that person full license to use you for theological target practice.
Lately, I haven't worked in an office since 2019, and recently I'm so fucking happy not to have to go to an office and talk to colleagues and have to make small talk about my weekend and then have to explain what this podcast is again, because I keep it's so miserable, this forceful society that you are in. And then on top of it, to be like, fucking Karen's over there. She set up a little table this week with her Jehovah's Witness pamphlets, and she just wants you to talk to her. Like, oh, I hate this.
I want to go back to that question. If someone's proselytizing at you and you're like, no, I don't want to hear this shit, who is the harasser in this situation? Who makes that call? Because this just introduces a problem. Like, you better hope it's not your supervisor, because the document says that person can totally push their faith on everyone else.
Yeah.
By the way, it actually says, as an example of what's permitted in the appendix, a supervisor may post a handwritten note inviting each of his employees to attend an Easter service at his church.
That's the most specific thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
And again, if you get that from your boss, what are you supposed to take away from that? Like, oh, I guess I have to go because my boss is telling me to do this.
I guess.
I mean, there's a reason conversations about faith, just like conversations about politics, especially in the government, it's potentially divisive, so you avoid it, or at least keep it as a minimum. I cannot tell you how many comments I heard in response to articles about this story that said, I worked for the federal government for like 10, 20 years. I could not tell you what some of my colleagues' political or religious beliefs were because we didn't talk about it at work. Because, you know, in other administrations, you have a job to do. Like, you work alongside people from varying backgrounds, some of whom maybe hold very different views from you. But the whole point is you all have a shared mission because you're at this particular office.
Right.
So it's better to focus on the task at hand than allowing any sort of distraction to interfere with the culture of the workplace. Doesn't mean you can't talk about your faith if that's important to you, but there's a difference between, like, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I went to church. Okay. Versus what they're telling you is now okay, which is, go convert somebody. It's fine. Like, this memo says certain kinds of distractions are okay because they're religious.
I want to be clear, though.
When a better memo would say, like, if it's not about work, keep it to a minimum.
But to be clear, we're still not allowed to discuss our salaries with our coworkers, right?
I don't know what the rules about
Because
that
that's
are
too
at the federal
personal
workplace.
and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or actually, it just is the reason that women get paid less, because we're not allowed. Like, the first time when I was like 17, I was working at a Lifetime Fitness, and I had compared my paycheck to a girlfriend of mine who worked in a different department, and we both got in trouble for it. And that was the first moment that I was like, how is it fucking possible that my company can't let me talk about what I'm making? How is that like First Amendment okay? It makes me feel insane. But now fucking Susan is going to be in the back with her baby Jesus cookies and inviting you to her terrible passion play.
Like, these rules don't make life better for Christians because they already had the right to do any of this stuff. But it does make life tangibly worse for people who are not Christian because now they got to deal with religious colleagues who just see them as people in need of saving.
Right.
And it creates friction when the government should be trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
And again, the memo doesn't change any laws. The whole point of it is we clarify what the law is, but it gives cover to Christian nationalists who just think they could treat everyone as converts, potential converts.
But and the fact that it says if the person says they don't want to be talked about anymore, that person has to stop. Like, I guess, I'm sorry, are they just teaching people how to have conversations? Like, because I volunteer.
Micromanaging people in this way is never going to work.
It's insane. And like, I don't know, I volunteer with people, and a lot of them are Catholic, and they tell me about, they're not proselytizing, they're just telling me about whatever they did over the weekend.
Right.
And
which is fine.
Which is fine.
By the way, there was a previous administration that said it tells government agencies do not suppress employees' private religious speech in the workplace. Which administration did that?
Oh,
Which administration clarified?
Is it Biden's?
It was Clinton's in 97, and that was the rule that was still in place, which is like, yeah, Christians, we're not trying to stop you from talking about this shit. But like, yeah, you can't be punished if you're talking about religion. That's what the rule was. And now this memo is like, well, we just want to clarify, you can always, wink, wink, talk about religion.
I feel the same way about this as I do whenever I see those American flags with the red stripes instead of the blue stripe, and the red stripe is for the for firefighters.
Okay.
And I'll see the thin blue line ones, and I'm like, oh, that person's a racist, terrible person. And then I see the thin red line ones, and I just think, who is anti-firemen? Nobody's mad at firemen. Nobody's attacking firemen. I just feel like you're mad and want to be mad and want to make sure people know you're pretty racist also.
Yeah, I mean, that's this administration.
Like, nobody's going after firemen, sir.
So 2 things about this. One is, what happens if someone says, all right, well, I'm a Muslim or I'm a Satanist? What happens if that person decides to do some malicious compliance and tries to imitate what Christians are doing here? Because as soon as you bring up a non-traditional religion or a non-Christian religion, you can imagine any mention of it is going to be seen as going over the top.
God, this is going to drive us all the way back to flying spaghetti monster shit. People are going to have to start wearing colanders on their head to work.
And it is possible. What about if you're promoting atheism? It is possible that's not allowed at all because the memo says, we're referencing Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which says, but the document says Title VII does not cover all beliefs. For example, social, political, or economic philosophies and mere personal preferences are not religious beliefs within the meaning of the statute. Meaning, it's okay. You could talk about your religion.
Don't talk about socialism, though.
Don't talk about socialism. But if it's just your personal preference, no. We're not saying you have carte blanche to do whatever you want. Which means atheism, if it's not a religion, you wouldn't be allowed to talk about that. Which means promoting a slogan like "There's probably no God. Now stop worrying and enjoy your life," like the bus campaign, like a decade or 2 ago. That would not be okay to say in the federal government. But if you said there probably is a God, so bow down, that would be fine.
I hope somebody puts this to the test soon. Somebody who has, I don't know, maybe a trust fund so they can afford to be fired.
Yes, that's exactly my thought. Like, I want someone to do the malicious compliance route here and push this and push the buttons. But also, I don't think it's fair to ask anybody to lose their job over this thing to test it out.
Well, if they were conservative and they lost their job, they would have $100,000 in a GoFundMe account by the end of the week. But apparently we lefties are more principled.
Yeah. The bottom line is this memo creates more confusion than it resolves. It fixes a problem no one was saying needed to be fixed.
Well, that's all the Trump administration has to offer is searching for a problem so they can sell you the cure. Like, that truly is all it. And Trump just loves to stir up shit and pretend that he got shot
Yeah.
and when he didn't. Those are his favorite things
we need
to
to
do.
make deals with other countries. I imposed a tariff. Now I'm taking it away. Look at the problem I solved.
Listening to Planet Money has been a fucking roller coaster of them. And I'm, of course, because I listen to so many podcasts, I'm always like 3 weeks behind in my podcast listening. So it's always like, so Trump did another fucking weird thing with the tariff. And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. That was so long
Still
ago.
doing it.
Oh, this is so bad.
Let's talk about something else.
Is it better?
Maybe Shiny Happy People, the documentary.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Season 2 is out. It is called Shiny Happy People, A Teenage Holy War. And I watched it. Fascinating.
Yeah.
3 episodes on Amazon Prime.
Which,
they were all released about a week ago.
Which kids did it cover?
Which
of the Duggars?
it covers 0 Duggars.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not the Duggars anymore.
Nope. Last season was about like the Duggars and their religion. This one's focused on Teen Mania, which is a ministry founded by a guy named Ron Luce. And his goal was let's get children to turn to Jesus and reject sex, drugs, and alcohol. And at its peak, Teen Mania and their events, like their big arena events, like one of them was called Acquire the Fire. It drew an estimated 73,000 people to one location.
Did you say 273?
No, sorry, 73,000. And they
Sorry,
represented about
73,000.
3,000
Jesus.
different youth groups that flew in to do this thing. So, okay, if you want to say we want to help kids abstain from sin, okay, fine. But what the docuseries made clear is the events were problematic and the ministry's problematic. For example, rampant abuse, according to former members. There was a culture of fear. Do not dare criticize Teen Mania or Ron Luce. There is very, very much an us versus them mentality. Christians are good, non-Christians are evil. We need to fix that. And then the ministry had interns. And this is something all the people interviewed talked about, where they're like, it was wild to go to these services, these big giant mass things, and watch kids running the cameras and kids running the lights and everything. They were doing menial labor for which they had to pay for the privilege of running the cameras for Ron Luce. But wait, if you're really into this, you could join their Honor Academy, which involved hardcore military-style boot camps.
Ooh, this is Nexium, huh?
Which involves sleep deprivation and rolling in vomit. Like they did a
Excuse
boot
me?
camp to see how passionate you really were about God. As one of the commentators even noted in the series, I'm quoting here, how do you know you're in a cult if that's your normal?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, that's rough stuff.
And you listen to these kids, and it very much you remember John Allen Chau, that missionary that went to those islands and then
was murdered.
was murdered by them
Correctly.
That's very much like you could tell why kids are drawn to do that sort of stupid thing when you see how tens of thousands of children were being told that physically harming themselves for Jesus is like a worthy way to walk through life.
Yeah, I feel like when kids start to learn that pain is good and is cleansing in some way, that's pretty bad, because that's just priming them to be abused later.
Yeah, and they brought up, one of the episodes covered the Columbine shootings, which happened when this was kind of at the height of its fame.
Oh, I didn't realize it was this long ago.
There was one of the girls who was, the mythology of it went that the shooters said, do you believe in God? And she said yes, and then they killed her. Now, witnesses to that said that's not what happened, but that girl was basically made a martyr in the Christian community. And one of the things, they use that story in so many of their events because, as Jeff Charlotte, the author of a lot of books about Christian nationalism, he said in the episode, these kids are being taught you are expendable and that the most valuable thing you could ever do is die for your faith. And like, again, if this was a docuseries about Islam and not Christianity, you can guess what Southern Baptist preachers would be saying about it. Now, they also spoke, one of the people in the docuseries is April Ajoy, who I have interviewed for this podcast in the past, and she's on TikTok a lot, speaks out against, I think she's still Christian, but it's very much the, I'm not one of those Christians.
Sure.
She was part of this, and she said she was part of these events back in the day. And she said in an interview with Religion News Service, you leave so fired up and you have this deep sense of purpose that there's no higher calling than for you to give up your entire life to spread the gospel to save souls. Because you literally believe that if people do not have your beliefs, that they do not believe in Jesus the way you do, that they will die and go to hell.
Yeah.
And like, that's not unique to Ron Luce. That's a message you will hear in any megachurch.
That's just Christianity.
But when your brain is not fully formed, to be told that your only purpose in life is to play a part in this fictional eternal war is so disturbing. And many of the victims are only now coming to terms with how fucked up their childhoods were because of guys like Luce. And of course, all of this became political. Like Luce impressed upon children that if they were true Christians, you're also going to be on this side of the culture war issues. So reject marriage equality, oppose reproductive rights, etc. I asked April, hey, now that the series is out and you've had a chance to watch it, what were your thoughts? She said she appreciated that they tied teen mania into today's Christian nationalism so people could see how clearly... people could see more clearly how radicalized teens turned into radicalized adults.
Sure.
And even if people like her managed to escape the grasp of this ministry, many of their loved ones did not. Now, I should tell you, this is not a spoiler, but teen mania finally came to an end about a decade ago. And the reason it kind of died off is, one, financial concerns, but it also didn't help that a lot of former interns and members began speaking out about the abuse that they suffered, which is the reason a lot of donors started withholding their support. And there were a bunch of legal problems and stuff like that. But like, you watch this series, the thing that stood out to me is that all the biggest fears that Ron Luce and his followers had, what were the biggest fears they had? MTV. Alcohol, premarital sex.
Video games.
It seems so quaint in light of what those same evangelicals have become today. Because, like, what's a bigger concern today? Kids who vape? Or, like, conservative Christians who reflexively defend a race-baiting, bribe-loving, ignorant sex predator president?
Right.
Like, if you see the vaping as a sin, that has to be overcome, but the latter is acceptable for the greater good, your moral compass is broken. And teen mania went from telling kids to reject mainstream culture to telling them you need to take over the culture. Ugh. And in a way, they have.
They certainly
We're not better off because of it. But, you know, if there's a silver lining to all of this, teen mania was defeated by the people in it who saw the light. And maybe we can expand that. Maybe there's hope for defeating the disastrous legacy it left in its wake.
Oh, boy, that's tough.
It was good.
Where
you
did
should
it
watch
take place? Where is this?
Teen Mania was across the country,
Oh,
but their
okay.
big events were like, we got to go to Texas and we'll hold a big event there. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was a very good series. I like it. And they're clearly going to do more of these. I don't know where they go from here.
There's no
shortage
limit,
of options. Pick your poison and run with it. Different story here. This is an update to something we talked about forever ago, but I had to go back a year to when we talked about this last time. Okay, I'm going to go back before I get to why I'm telling you about this now. The pastor and his wife, their names are Eli and Caitlin Regalado. They ran an online-only church in Colorado, and basically they were telling Christians to pour all their money into their ministry, which was now crypto.
Patreon.com/friendlyatheist podcast. We do not invest in crypto.
Yeah. This is the press release from the Colorado Division of Securities in January of 2024. So a year and a half ago.
I remember this story.
The complaint alleges that Regalado, Eli, targeted Christian communities in Denver and claimed that God told him directly that investors would become wealthy if they poured their money into INDXcoin. The Regalados had no experience in cryptocurrency, which was clear when a third-party auditor's report allegedly described their INDXcoin code as unsafe, unsecure, and riddled with serious technical problems. Despite that report, the Regalados allegedly continue to promote the INDXcoin as a low-risk, high-profit investment.
Vibe coding at its best.
What did they do with the money they were making? Well, at least $1.3 million that was invested in this fund went directly to the couple, who spent it on, quote, a Range Rover, jewelry, luxury handbags, cosmetic dentistry, boat rentals, and snowmobile adventures, home renovations, and an au pair to take care of their kids, because who the fuck cares about the kids?
An au pair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, all INDXcoin and the Kingdom Wealth Exchange on which you could buy or sell these coins, it was all shut down in November of 2023 before the complaint was made. Basically, feds are looking into this. The authorities are looking into it. They shut it all down while they're investigating.
Okay.
And then they filed their official complaint. But shortly after it was shut down, Regalado told investors, don't panic. Quote, I really believe you're going to see a miracle in very short order. And then the complaint came and told people, these people are stealing your money.
Is it legally? That's what I always wonder with these sort of televangelist deals. Like, they're obviously just manipulating people and
Do they
stealing
know
their
they're
money.
manipulating people?
Do they know they're manipulating people? And why is this legal? But if I just conned you and said, oh, I can sell you the Eiffel Tower twice. Did you know that the Eiffel Tower is sold twice?
Interesting.
Like, a con artist sold it to two different people, and the first guy who did it was so embarrassed that he got conned that he
Nice.
didn't tell anybody, and so the guy
Nice.
did it again.
Nice.
Isn't that great?
I mean, I don't know how much. That's the question. How much do these people know about what they are doing?
Yeah.
And if you look at their posts on their now shut down forum, he's very much, hello, INDXcoin family. This is the day the Lord has made. Blah, blah, blah.
This is the day the Lord has made.
Yeah, let us rejoice, be glad in it.
Oh,
He
it's
said,
just a
we're
regular
planning
day.
on launching tomorrow, but we're waiting on our business number to be issued. Our Singapore legal team informed us that we should have the number this week, ...
My
Like,
Singapore
there's-
legal
it's-
team is definitely a chill phrase.
Yeah, like these people sent so many updates to their followers saying, here's a Bible verse, here's why you could trust us. Don't worry, we have lawyers working on this thing over and over. And
This is like when you donate to GoFundMe and it never comes to fruition, and then once a year you still get an email like, hey, the comic book's coming, and it's like,
oh, right, that was the
yeah,
thing.
okay.
He actually had a white paper about why you should invest in the crypto.
Oh,
And it
boy.
said, like, here's how much it's worth today, $9.98 for one index coin. But if we move back in time to 2019, these things were only worth 46 cents. And if we
So with that
extrapolate from
growth-
there, in 2028, it'll be worth $86.44. So if you buy it right now at $10 a coin,
okay, as
This
a
is what they did.
non-math person, that makes like my teeth itch. As a math person, does that make you want to fling yourself off a balcony?
they're basically trying to create a graph using one data point. Yeah.
Two data points.
I don't even know how well the 2019, because they said if INDXcoin had been operational in
Because it wasn't even real. That was a
'Cause it wasn't
hypothetical
real.
price.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yep. My favorite thing about their white
I took the
paper-
most basic math class that I could take to graduate from college, and even I understand that he's an idiot.
Yes. My favorite part about their white paper, encouraging people why they should invest in the coin, is one, it said it would inspire and strengthen their spiritual lives. How? I don't know.
Unclear.
But to prove that it was founded on gospel principles,
Oh boy.
they said, hey, we have an operations team. It includes two guys.
From Singapore.
Their names are Jose and Oscar.
Classic Jose
Their
and
real
Oscar.
name, those are pseudonyms.
Oh.
Their real names are not, they said in the white paper, like Jose, pseudonym.
For their own protection?
Yes. Their bio said they were the lead developers, which that's what you want in a lead developer, someone who wants to hide their identity.
You know what it is? I bet it's just an AI.
Maybe. But then they said after
An
the
AI.
operations team, we have a prophetic team that includes a woman who serves as a prophetic voice for INDXcoin's spiritual intelligence team.
How do I get that job?
What does that mean? I don't know, but I looked at her bio. Her name is Amanda Earhart, and here's what her bio says. As a performer, singer-songwriter, record producer, and entrepreneur,
Ooh.
Amanda Earhart has over 24 years of experience writing, performing, and developing talent. It goes on for a little bit, but I want to make clear she's their like spiritual guide for the crypto coin.
I wonder how much she got paid
Anyway,
for that.
so in early
I could be a
2024,
spiritual guide. I can read vibes.
right? In early 2024, the lawsuit gets filed against them by like the Colorado department that investigates this shit. And Eli makes a video response to, hey, I know you may have seen this in the news this week, but let me assure you. And like that video is no longer online. I only managed to grab a half of it
Oh,
from
wow.
like somewhere. But basically he said, look, the reason people are saying INDXcoin is worthless is because investors can't cash out right now. And yeah, that's true. And then he's like, what about the claims that me and my wife pocketed $1.3 million? He's like, look, first of all, $500,000 went to the IRS. And a couple $100,000 went to a home remodel that the Lord told us to do.
Because I wanted it.
That's a direct quote.
The Lord told us to do.
Yeah. And by the way, even if you took a few $100,000, he didn't mention, by the way, that $290,000 was put in the bank account for his online-only church. For what? A new webcam? I don't know.
Oh, boy. I feel like that should have a much lower overhead than that.
Yep. So his conclusion at the end of this video was like, look, right now, either I misheard God or God is still not done with this project.
Those are definitely the only two things I can think that would be the...
So in the lawsuit that was filed against the family,
situation.
the securities commissioner explained, we allege that Mr. Regalado took advantage of the trust and faith of his own Christian community and that he peddled outlandish promises of wealth to them when he sold them essentially worthless cryptocurrencies.
Wow.
Yeah. By the way, he also told investors they would tithe and sow in causes that help widows and orphans. But the payments to widows and orphans were primarily to them.
I'm sorry, widows and orphans. This isn't 1950s Brooklyn. It's not orphans. Nobody says orphans anymore because
Except
they're in
this
the
couple.
foster care system, and I guarantee you they're not helping foster kids.
And this is the argument from Colorado's officials here. Investors were told that every index coin was worth at least $10 and that there were 30 million such coins in circulation, meaning the company should have had $300 million backing these coins.
Oh, okay.
State investigators found $30,000.
Oh, that's less.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me make sure.
They're overhyping it. These coins are basically worth a penny. And they're saying, give us $10 for one coin.
And they're worth a penny because they, as the holders of them...
You're asking me to explain crypto, and I'm not going to be able to. But basically, this is how much money they had invested in this thing for these coins.
And they only 10% of it was left.
And none of it is actually worth what they claimed these coins were worth.
I see.
That's what it comes down to. Anyway, so the problem is that these people were way too greedy. Instead of just selling God, where you can over-deliver and there's no oversight or accountability, they sold an actual promise. And then over the past year, here's where the update is. This scam has been under the microscope for over a year now, right? And Eli Regalado is just posting through it.
Is he really?
Because they haven't been charged with anything yet, right? He's just making videos. He made one where it looked like he was at a pool, which is not a great look.
No.
But he's saying I didn't do anything wrong. And then he's like, he's threatening the securities commissioner, quote, "You're a liar, liar, liar. I hope you get back in the office after your holiday and you see this and you see what you've done. Shame on you. You're a crook."
He called him a liar 3 times.
And then 2 days later, he posts another video apologizing for his tone. I'm sorry, I said all that, you guys. Oh no, I'm in big trouble.
Oh, geez, Louise.
So this commissioner wanted a hold on their assets. She wanted them to pay back $3.4 million. She wants all this money back in the hands of the people who were screwed over. So anyway, there's a civil trial in all this. It ended back in May. We are still waiting for the judge's decision. This is to get the money back. The couple would only owe money if they lost. But we're waiting on the judge's decision.
So this isn't being pursued as a criminal.
Good question. So that was the civil trial.
Okay.
Where the worst that could happen is the couple has to pay back all the money they stole.
Right. So the civil trial is...
But this week, it announced, or last week, Denver's District Attorney John Walsh announced, oh, by the way, while you were doing all that, we've been pursuing a criminal trial. And guess what? We put all this evidence in front of a grand jury, and the grand jury just said you're indicted on 40 felony criminal charges of theft, securities fraud, and racketeering. Half of those charges are theft, with witnesses saying we were screwed out of between $10,000 and $200,000. And the charging document says the Regalados made material misstatements to prospective and current investors regarding their investments, ... Basically, they lied about everything. They used technical sounding terms to confuse investors when, in fact, the coins were essentially backed by no assets whatsoever. So now they got to appear in court and enter their plea, which I assume is not guilty. But if they don't negotiate a plea deal, A trial then will get underway, and they could face jail time when all is said and done. So will they go to jail? I don't know. But now they're in the middle of a civil trial and a criminal trial, and I'm so happy for them.
Good for them.
Right?
May they reap what they sow.
Yes. I got one last story for you because I just want to get this out of the way this week, I guess. But we've talked before about Micah Beckwith, who is the lieutenant governor of Indiana, like actual sitting lieutenant governor of Indiana. And he has a long history of saying things that might go over well on podcasts hosted by fellow Christian nationalists and horribly for everyone else.
Forget your audience.
For example, he has said the LGBTQ movement is operating out of a demonic playbook.
Oh.
He said that the 3/5...
That's called the Necronomicon. Have some respect.
That the 3/5 compromise,
Oh, no.
where slaves were considered 3/5 of people, that was a good thing.
Oh.
I guess in his logic because it helped people realize it was wrong. I don't know. He also said his own election was a choice between godly boldness and the Jezebel spirit.
Ooh, who's his opponent?
A Democrat. That's all that matters.
lady?
And he also argued that people who advocate for church-state separation, like us, are, quote, the LGBTQ community trying to support Hamas. I think we talked about that like last week.
We did, because the Hamas thing is new.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy recently appeared on a PBS member station. They do like a interview, and the two hosts of the show, who, as far as I can tell, are fine.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, as a lieutenant governor, we want to interview him. So they did. And they asked him
Why
about,
do you have such a
like,
garbage state?
that too. They asked him about his like pro-life, quote unquote, positions. Like, did he agree? Because in Indiana, there was a situation where a 10-year-old who was assaulted was pregnant. She had to leave the state of Indiana to get an abortion. And like even Republicans were like, well, in that situation, it kind of makes sense. Our laws were too draconian, whatever. They wanted to ask him.
They've never said our laws are too draconian. They don't know what draconian means.
Fair. Like, should child victims of sexual assault be forced to carry a pregnancy to term? And
Hey, what about adult women?
Beckwith was like, no, of course I would never go that far to force a child to give birth against her will.
Except for that one time that I tried to do that.
Well, I'm going to play for you what he said. It's disturbing. Here you go.
So I believe in the case of life, that life begins at conception. If you, like, there's horrible things that happen in life, though. So when things like rape, especially rape of a child, happen, there needs to be severe consequences for the person who did that. I've always said that.
Like the person carrying the baby.
No,
that's a severe consequence.
What I've said, if we're going to allow one carve out, that would be the carve out where I would say, hey, this would be the carve out. If you're going to have an abortion in this consequence, you can do it here. However, this is my stipulation. I want that man who raped and caused that child now to be killed. I want that man to be charged for first-degree murder as well. And now the justice system will carry out justice on that man for ending an innocent life, bringing an innocent life into the world and then ending that life. Now there's justice, and I've always said I would be okay with that.
Just to recap, if a child is sexually assaulted and Indiana would say she has to give birth, but he's saying I would support a carve out that says she can get an abortion, but only if we murder the man that did this to her.
I mean, he's saying that he wants to bring murder charges against the rapist, which is wild that I did not hear him say that we should bring charges against him for raping a child. I feel like maybe that should be a little bit higher on his list.
There's a couple problems with this fantasy here.
Truly, that's what the thing is it's a fantasy
the
because
bloodlust.
I'm just imagining being a teenager and being raped and then having to go to somebody like this to plead my case of whether or not I was raped correctly,
right,
or was young enough or whatever. Like, why that feels pretty ephemeral and hard to pin down in order to make a law out of it.
Like, one problem is that the death penalty in Indiana right now is only an option in certain murder cases.
Did he say death? He said murdered the child. Like, he's implying that the rapist is a murderer. I don't think he said he wants to he just wants to.
If you're a serial killer in Indiana, you could face the death penalty
enough.
in Indiana.
Fair enough,
What-
but he isn't.
if you committed sexual assault, which is horrific, it's not a crime for which the death penalty could even apply. What his logic is if we allow a child to get an abortion because she was sexually assaulted,
It's a life for a
that
life.
guy did not do that. The guy did not kill the baby, but I don't know, using math, that guy is responsible for the murder of that fetus. Therefore, we could put the death penalty on that guy. That's his twisted logic here. And when the host brought up, none of that makes any sense, this guy brushed it off. Beckwith, he just brushed it off. He's like, well, then we need to change the law.
Well, if only we knew somebody who is the second most powerful person in the state.
And also, it would take an already tragic situation and make it worse. Because I imagine victims of sexual assault have enough trauma to deal with when terminating the pregnancy. But the last thing they need weighing on their conscience is the knowledge that the only way to obtain that abortion is as long as we kill another person in your honor.
Well, and that also means a criminal trial, which means that this
You have to testify?
This 10-year-old girl would have to go up and testify. And do you know what that means? That means that girl is going to have to be called back to testify for the rest of her life, because every time a parole hearing comes up, she's going to have to come back in and say, hey, do you remember what I told you 10 years ago? He raped me and I got pregnant and I was 10 years old.
Granted, this hypothetical girl is 10. What happens if she opposes the death penalty? Then what? Is she forced to give birth against her will? Like, his proposal gives them no solace whatsoever, since ultimately he's the one who thinks he should be making this decision between state-sanctioned murder or forced birth against the girl's will.
So a couple of years ago, I was having a conversation with a couple of teenagers who are a Seventh-day Adventist, and they were at this Adventist camp in the Southern Illinois, something like that. And she told me a story of this guy who had been dating her, and she broke up with him, and he drove down to the camp to just be there and stalk her. And she was like, it was so nice. All the boys there, the whole time, they just were next to me and had their arms around me and made sure I was never alone and yada, yada, yada. And I kind of took a beat and I was like, I understand that probably felt nice. But what those guys needed to do was go over and talk to that man and tell him why what he was doing wasn't okay. What they instead wanted to do was beat their chests and, flay out their feathers and be the biggest, strongest boy in the room and protect this little girl. If they actually cared about this girl's well-being, they would have approached that man and told him to get the fuck out. What they wanted to do is play superhero and hope they get to take a swing at some bad guy, some capital B, capital G bad guy. Mm-hmm. And that's what this feels like to me. It feels like this very masculine urge to assert vengeance, whereas people who are getting raped are just can you just believe me when I tell you that? Because that's the other thing is, what now we're believing young people who got raped because we haven't had a great history.
We are assuming she knows who the assaulter is.
That's also a good point. And oh God.
And by the way, you mentioned this, but the timelines for obtaining an abortion and executing someone are very different. What happens if she gets an abortion and the death penalty case falls apart? Then what? Does she get punished? Then?
That's a good question.
I don't know. It's heartless. It's illogical. This is what you expect from a conservative Christian who's never thought through the implications of his anti-abortion
because
beliefs.
They never think about the people who are doing this. They want to invent these boogies.
Sure.
To go, oh, it's these monsters who are doing this. When we know statistically speaking that almost every time a kid is sexually assaulted, it's by a member of their family. So these aren't serial killers roaming around breaking into people's houses. Mm-hmm. These are your weird uncle or your dad or your mom. And that presents, I'm sorry, do you want a 10-year-old girl to go up against her father in a criminal murder case? This is the thing with the lifeboats that we talked about last week. You can say it and it's fine, but as soon as boots get on the ground and shit starts, it's like when Roe v. Wade fell, and also all these doctors were like, I don't understand what the law is anymore, right, and I'm afraid to break it.
Luckily for women in Indiana,
nothing is lucky for women in Indiana.
If you're able you can travel to neighboring Illinois where reproductive rights are protected because
What's up,
we
baby?
didn't elect Christian nutcases to run our state government.
Pritzker.
But yeah, like this Micah Beckwith, who, by the way, looks like dollar store Seth MacFarlane.
Ooh, let me see.
Just wait for this. There you go.
Oh, boy, what a weenie.
Yep, ignore the porn in the corner.
You know, they didn't really need to put that R next to his name. His haircut really said it all.
Yeah, but like this is what happens when you give wannabe theocrats free reign to just control other people's lives. He really does think this is the best solution and this is logical. This is not, I made this up spur of the moment. He's thought this one
Yeah, he
through.
truly has. Like, he really had a little thing that he pitched.
Anyway,
Wow.
I will leave it at that. For bonus episode, I will tell you about a movie I saw.
Hey, good job.
And you can support the show by going to patreon.com/friendlyatheistpodcast. Send us an email, friendlyatheistpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for the million emails about Ryan Walters this week. They were fun to read.
Yes, we're just, what a time to be alive.
Yes. And leave your reviews on the iTunes and everywhere else you leave reviews for these site types of things.
Okay. You can leave a review. This one is, it's 5 stars. The show we need with a HOS. I bet it's going to be bad about Jessica. This show, at least the Hammond portion is so very good. The timely topics and occasional interviews are always fascinating. I find myself listening less and less, though, because of Jessica. That's me. Good person, not so great podcast host. Also, your compound modifiers are off. You hyphenated wrong. Jessica's constant interruptions. Yep. Truly lame and unfunny jokes, repetitive phrasing. I'm content never to hear my dude again. Yeah, because Hammond is a font of original things, and he doesn't say, I'm going to play this for you like 15 times an episode.
I am going to.
And sudden
Screw
loud...
that guy. We got a lovely email from one of our listeners, Sam, who said this. Jessica and Hammond, you are both amazing. The importance of your work, particularly now, cannot be overstated. I am grateful for the dedication to truth and quality you put in every week. Jessica, thank you for facing down some very real trauma responses and for being a voice of one that overcomes and punches through. You are a fucking beast. And I mean that in the very best of ways.
Well, that's nicer than the thing I read.
Hammond, thank you for your measured tenacity and exacting standards. The extremes you go to for each story is deeply appreciated. Thank you both.
Oh, that's much nicer than the thing I
Much
said about
nicer.
how much everybody hates me.
There you go.
They called me cringy, which is fair, honestly. I'm just gonna chat with you about you've heard this story already, but the funny way that my best friend is coming to visit me this weekend. Plans are fucking insane, but my friend Leslie's coming up from Louisville. And I saw a movie called Short Term 12 that I thought was absolutely incredible and would recommend it. And I want to talk to you about.
We'll see you in the bonus.
Goodbye.